Hey guys, this is Todd Stevens here. I just wanted to make a really short video about my first commercial real estate transaction. About a year and a half ago, I made the transition from focusing so much on residential real estate to focusing more on commercial real estate. On the residential side, I've been in the business for around 4 to 5 years. I've done well over 100 deals, but now I'm just really focusing and putting my energy into bigger deals on the commercial side. So what I'm gonna do is just break this video up into 5 different steps of how I found the deal, how we ended up purchasing the property, the plans that we had to renovate and lease the property, what actually ended up happening with the property, and then lastly, as you can see by the title, how much we ended up profiting on the transaction. So let's get right into this, how I found the deal. I started off by just cold calling commercial real estate brokers along with property owners. I wound up talking to the property owner of the 72,000 square foot industrial building. We talked on the phone, we had a great conversation. He said that he wanted to sell the property. So a few days later, we met out at the property, toured it, walked it, and I kind of got a sense of what he was looking to accomplish with the sale of this building. As I mentioned, the building was a 72,000 square foot industrial warehouse. It was around 95% vacant. It just had a few small tenants in there that were paying extremely low rent. Initially underwrote this as being a vacant building. The building was extremely dilapidated. I could tell from our initial walkthrough that it needed a ton of work. So it was gonna take a few $1 million to bring this property up. I knew I was gonna have to get creative on making this deal work. So that brings me to step number 2 on how we actually purchased this property. I told the seller that we could not get bank financing for the property because how dilapidated it was and how much work was actually needed. And then also the property was, like I said, around 95% vacant. So there was zero chance the bank was gonna give us traditional financing for the purchase of this asset. So what I suggested was either one of 2 options. We could give them a cash offer where we buy the property for cash. That option would have meant him taking an extremely low offer and just getting all his money at once and just walking away from the deal. Option 2 was seller financing. Basically, we give him a down payment and then he becomes the bank and we just make payments to him over time. Ultimately, that's what he decided to do. So originally what we agreed on was a purchase price of $2 million. We told him we would give him $500,000 as a down payment and the remaining $1.5 million balance, we were just gonna pay him over time for the course of 5 years. So that's what we agreed on. We had our attorneys draft up a purchase agreement. We both signed it and we were officially under contract, and I was under contract on my first commercial real estate building. Now we were officially under contract and we then began the due diligence process. Upon our due diligence, we realized that this property was going to need just a ton of work. Upwards of $2 million in renovations. So we actually renegotiated the deal and we got the purchase price down from $2 million to 1.6. And instead of giving him $500,000 down as a down payment, we decided to give him $300,000 as a down payment. This seller was motivated to sell. He inherited the property many years ago and he hadn't done any work to it in upwards of 10 years. Ultimately, he agreed to reduce the price and reduce the down payment. We revised the contract and proceeded to move forward. Now on to step 3. Basically our plans to renovate and lease up the property. So our plans for the property was to completely renovate the building. We were gonna have to do everything from roof to asphalt to electrical, plumbing. We were gonna divide the building up and make a bunch of small units so we could get a bunch of small businesses in there to fill up the building. We began the renovation process by spending around $150,000 to completely redo the parking lot. The parking lot needed a ton of work, so we completely redid the parking lot, and that actually wound up costing about $150,000. The next step of this process was to begin renovating the roof of the property. This building had a ton of leaks, so we knew that's something that we needed to take care of. So we ordered a bunch of roofing materials. We got estimates on the roofing materials. That came out to about another $150,000 in roofing materials. So we ordered those materials and we just stored them in the warehouse until we were ready to find contractors that could replace the roof. Right when we were about to start the work is when things started to change. What actually ended up happening with the property? As we were getting ready to start on the roof, we actually got contacted by what's called a private equity firm to completely buy us out and take over the project. This company had just made a major purchase of a lot of warehouse buildings within this area. Then they contacted us and asked if we wanted to sell the property. This was completely unexpected. We did not think that we were gonna wind up selling the property, but they wound up making us an offer of $3.6 million, which is around $2 million more than what we paid for it. Me, as well as all the other investors in this deal, we were completely blown away by their offer. And to be transparent, we didn't even think they were serious. So we allowed them to do a walkthrough of the property. So they wound up doing a walkthrough, having their contractors walk through, building out a full model, and they were still interested at $3.6 million. We accepted the deal, went under contract, and proceeded to move forward to a closing. With this being a private equity firm, they had hundreds of millions of dollars at their disposal. The whole process took about a month, and me and my partners ended up making around a $2 million profit on the deal. So in conclusion, we bought the property for $1.6 million. We wound up selling it around 6 months later for $3.6 million. And we ended up with a profit of around $2 million, minus the $150 that we spent on getting the asphalt. They actually gave us a credit for the materials that we spent on getting ready to prepare the roof. From start to finish, this deal took 6 months, and we made roughly $2 million on the property. So this was a big win for me, and this was my first commercial real estate deal. That sums up my first commercial real estate deal. I do intend on making more content as I walk down this journey of transitioning from residential to commercial real estate. Hopefully you guys gain value from this. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos. And I guess I'll see you on the next video.